Hey, Warpugs. Julian.x303 said that we needed to watch some stuff from PointlessHub. And that stuff is in particular related to Pacific Rim, Giant Robots, Monsters, and You. Or Giant Monsters, Robots, and You. Because I can't read English! It's raining outside, guys. It's a Monday. Forgive me for everything I ever do wrong. In any case, we're going to get into this. Now, I watched Pacific Rim 1. I really liked Pacific Rim 1. I haven't watched anything other than Pacific Rim 1, mainly because I heard the other ones weren't that great. Now, that might be true, that might not be true. I don't know yet, guys. I just don't know. It is the nature of the beast. You gotta do what you gotta do. In any case, we're going to jump right into PointlessHub's video on Pacific Rim. I've seen a couple of things from PointlessHub. Not many. I was actually introduced to the channel from you guys. I did know about Alternate History Hub, but I didn't know about the other channels that he had. So this is going to be a little bit of an exploration for me. I hope you guys enjoy. If you do, leave a like, comment, and guys, hit the subscribe button. I see how many of you come back. Makes me feel unloved. Let's go. That makes sense.
Oh, hey. How's it going?
Yeah, just keep it up.
Big mechs.
Yes.
Small mechs. Fast mechs.
Yes.
Slow mechs. Car mechs.
Yeah.
French mechs. I like mecha anime.
I'll kill you.
I build Gundams. I play Battletech. I mourn Titanfall. Gone too soon. What I'm getting at here is I dig giant robots.
Yes.
You dig giant robots.
Yes.
Chicks dig giant robots.
Yes.
If it has a mech in it, it automatically elevates a story. I don't make the rules. Except for here. Who thought this was a good idea?
I'm the Avatar! You got to deal with...
For decades, mechs have been a staple of animation. And for decades, that's really all they could be. Or, if anything else, pieces of plastic that nerds put together. Like me. When it came to live-action representation of mechs, there weren't a lot of options out there. Mechs had to either be guys in suits or stop-motion.
I never understood Power Rangers and why it was so popular. It was always, for me, it was just like, I was a kid when I was growing up, that was first coming out, and I watched it for the first time, and I looked at it for 20 seconds, and I was like, that's a note from me.
It was only with the invention of CGI that mechs could be imagined in a new light. Yeah, throughout...
Don't get me started on how much I hate the third movie in the Matrix trilogy's mechs. They are so impractical and so stupid.
The 2000s, Hollywood movie mechs just kind of followed the same design. There wasn't anything that even slightly resembled mecha. Which is why when one movie came out, a movie that focused entirely on giant mechs fighting things, it felt like a breath of fresh air. Something that even to this day, still feels truly special. Pacific Rim. Pacific Rim is not a perfect movie,
no,
but it's a movie that sets out to do one thing really well, and that thing is mechs and kaiju killing each other.
Yep. Do you realize how unbelievably impossible this scene is, yet how utterly awesome it is?
Pacific Rim is straight out of the mind of a nerdy 10-year-old.
Yes.
Giant monsters are destroying the world, and there's only one thing that can stop them. Giant robots.
Yes.
It's an almost laughably simple idea. Not all plots need to be overly complicated. They just have to be executed well. Pacific Rim isn't great just because it has kaiju fighting mechs. Pacific Rim is great because it knows how to show kaiju fighting mechs. It knows what the audience wants. Is it perfect? No, but you can tell there was a lot of effort and thought behind every inch of this film, even the parts that don't look it. Sometimes
It looks really bad in some places.
action cheese is all you need, and Pacific Rim is a bunch of queso. full of a love for kaiju films and love for mechs. And it's all thanks to a script written by Travis Beacham and a vision by director Guillermo del Toro.
This movie was made by people who love monsters and giant robots, for people who love monsters and giant robots.
It's like that single Krabby Patty SpongeBob made in that one episode. You know the one. That's an energy that can't be infused,
right,
no matter how many millions studios throw on a budget. So what is this big dumb robot movie actually about? What is a Pacific Rim? Why is there a rim in the Pacific? Is it because I drove that school bus into the ocean?
No.
Underneath that kaiju costume, Pacific Rim is at its core an alien invasion movie. Just no alien movie you've ever seen. Who needs spaceships and flying saucers? Independence Day already did that.
Right.
Can't top it. No, sir. These aliens aren't coming.
Independence Day was great. Resurgence was an abomination to my eyes, ears, and all other senses. Like after I watched Resurgence, I just felt horrible about life in general. Independence Day came out in the 90s. This thing is, and Resurgence was the perfect example of everything wrong
Coming from space.
with movies
They're
these
coming
days.
from the ocean, creating a wormhole at the bottom of the Pacific.
Yes.
But not to send themselves. Oh no. Like a Minecraft mob generator, they send monsters. Or I guess if we want to be technical about it, kaiju. As strange as that idea sounds, you have to admit, it's not a bad plan. I think we've all been reminded fairly recently just how much pressure is at the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
Good luck sending anyone down there to stop them. It'd probably be easier just nuking a spaceship in orbit. At first, everyone is just powerless to stop these attacks, and the kaiju just keep coming. Any city around the Pacific can be flattened by a giant crab at a moment's notice.
Lovely.
And traditional weapons just aren't cutting it. So a solution is thought up. An action that will stop the monsters once and for all. Nukes. Wait, what? Oh, they're not nuking the monsters.
Yay.
That would destroy the city too.
True.
Since when? Alright, well, I guess we gotta go with the giant mech plan then.
Yeah.
I guess. If you want to be boring. Like the movie tagline says, to fight monsters, we created monsters.
Lovely.
And those monsters were Jaegers. Remember when nobody in America knew what the word Jaeger was?
Right.
Better times. Jaegers are big. Bigger than your typical humanoid mech. Except for Gurren Lagann. Jesus. In the span of a few years, the Pacific nations
What is that?
all band together to make bots the size of 40k Titans. If you've ever wondered what a Titan would look like in a modern-day city, well, there you go. And if you don't know what a Titan is, imagine a Jaeger with a church on his back.
Accurate. But with a lot more firepower.
It's like that, but not at all. Jaegers do their jobs pretty well. They make the kaijus look like little bitches. And for a time, the giant robots just keep winning. Until they don't. I just watched this movie and I forgot what his name was. Kinda tells you all you need to know.
Yeah.
See you around, Raleigh.
Raleigh isn't obnoxious or anything. He's perfectly fine. Acceptable. A generic protagonist.
Yes.
He'd be the main character in any 7th gen shooter. In a movie that has so many creative decisions, it's a little disappointing the main guy we focus on is so run-of-the-mill. Apparently that was on purpose. He was meant to be someone the guys in the audience would want to have a beer with. Sure, I guess. Raleigh's
Okay.
kind of an audience conduit. A blank slate for any dumb teen American boy to imagine themselves piloting a giant-ass mech with his Japanese GF. But as our film begins, Raleigh's co-pilot is his brother. Can't you tell how excited he is? Sure hope nothing bad happens that
Yeah.
changes the trajectory of his life.
Raleigh, listen to me!
Bye.
Dealing with the trauma of that happening, he officially retires being a Jaeger pilot.
Yeah, not only did he watch his brother die, he was mentally connected to him at the same time, and he felt his brother die too. That's going to elicit about 3 bestsellers worth of trauma for any psychologist.
5 years later,
5
he's
years
working
later.
construction on a wall.
The media won't tell you this, but we're building the wall.
Over the years, the Jaegers have been deemed a failure, and most, along with their pilots, have just flat out died. It's actually really grim. And apparently in this movie's lore, the year where things really started taking a turn for the worst was 2020. Make of that.
Wow. Okay.
That what you will. So the backup plan is this giant
I love I never even noticed this. The anti-kaiju wall. You couldn't name it something better than that?
wall instead, like an even bigger version of the walls from Attack on Titan. And just like in that, the wall proves utterly useless at the beginning of the story.
Lovely.
Raleigh is recruited back into the program, being one of the few pilots left who's not actually dead. And really, that's kind of it. Riley's a static character. The closest to an arc he gets is trying to get over his brother's death, but he never really is that reluctant to get back into being a pilot. In some other movie, I would imagine they'd make him more apprehensive about finding another pilot, and it spends a lot of time on that whole thing, but not Pacific Rim. After a sparring session, Raleigh immediately is impressed and wants Mako to be his co-pilot. And that's it for his character. Like, he's good to fight for the rest of the movie.
Pretty
There
much.
is not one dilemma in that brain. I think that's kind of the point. Because even though the movie starts with Raleigh and uses him as the POV character to introduce the audience into this new world, this isn't his movie to have an arc. It's Mako's. Mako is the
Okay.
adopted daughter of Marshall Pentecost. In my opinion, Idris Elba's best role. Well, not
Okay, Aegis Elba is... Yeah, he's awesome.
really, but, you know, he is cool in this. Elba has such an aura of authority that outshines every other character.
Mods, crush his skull.
While they are introduced later than Raleigh, I would call these two the actual main characters of the movie, considering just how much revolves around their relationship. After years of training, Mako is very clearly the best candidate to pilot a Jaeger, yet because he's protective, the Marshal keeps her on the sidelines. His whole arc is coming to terms that she's the best person for the job, and to let her go. And then Mako almost blows up the entire station.
Right.
Oops. Yeah, so one of the most interesting parts of Pacific Rim is how the Jaegers are actually controlled.
Now, this was actually really damn cool. I love this.
With your mind. Or two minds, actually. Two minds smushed together to make the Jaegers work. A process known as drifting. I love when mech fiction brings in a third element other than just the mech and the pilot. Sadly for me, the only thing I'm drift compatible with is this moldy potato. The tragedies it has endured have scarred me forever. Mako eventually gets over that little mishap. That's the end plot for everyone in this movie. You get in the robot. Well, not everyone. Because I still haven't brought up, Charlie Day.
Oh, God.
Charlie Day is a scientist obsessed with anything kaiju related.
He's a kaiju groupie. He loves.
Shut up, Herman. I don't love them.
Which, if you think about it, it's a little
does.
strange to have him in your last stand Jaeger base. I get he's probably great at his job, but think about how this would look in the real world.
Right.
Millions dead from these things, and he has tattoos of them.
Right.
Imagine if during the War on Terror, some top scientist went up to a commanding officer and was like, "Hey man, check out my tattoo. It's 9/11.
I never really understood that. And the guy on the right annoyed the hell out of me the whole damn film.
groupie. He loves.
Shut up, Herman. I don't love them.
Smart boy Charlie has the brilliant idea to use the Jaeger drift technology to drift into a kaiju brain.
This is a
Despite
bad
his
idea.
friends suggesting that this is a really bad idea, he does it anyway. Just a quick side note, if this guy looks familiar, well, that's Bern Gorman. He appeared in the Sunny episode Flowers for Charlie, where Charlie is gaslit by a couple of scientists into thinking he took genius pills and is smart now. Spoilers, he wasn't.
To allow spiders to talk with cats. Alas, a complete failure.
I like to imagine that this is just a continuation of this episode. This is the same universe. Because just like Sunny, Charlie thinks he's smart, but he's really a dumbass. He wants to find out more about the kaiju. Since drifting is a two-way thing, the kaiju brain saw where the Jaeger base was located, giving away everyone's location. So the aliens send two kaiju to go get him.
Lovely.
Good job, buddy. Do they want to eat him?
No.
Or take him away? We never find out. All we know is that this attack on Hong Kong only happens because of this guy. Do you think the...
You dick. You absolute dick!
Death's Way on the mind of Charlie Day. Now that I think about it, nobody ever brings it up again. I don't think they ever find out he was responsible. The only person that really knows was Ron Perlman, and he got devoured by a fetus.
Ron Perlman has lost his mind. Just lost it. It's gone. Yes.
Finally, the thing anyone came here for, the robots. The only thing anyone really remembers is the second half, the part with the mechs.
Right.
Who am I to say, though? Maybe you're a big fan of the subplot where the Australian guy has a beef with Rowley. The Hong Kong fight is this movie. If you couldn't tell, every Jaeger in Pacific Rim is from a country that sits on the Pacific Rim. And there's even little inspirations from their home country in their design, which I think is pretty neat. The Chinese have Crimson Typhoon, piloted by the Wei Tang triplets. They never say a single line of dialogue, they're just there.
Yep.
But the concept of a 3-armed mech is actually really neat. The Russians bring in this solid brick, Cherno Alpha. You can tell that thing is Russian. These mechs...
Cherno Alpha. Chernobyl. I absolutely love it. I really don't.
Mechs are canonically from the 2010s, but this looks like they just got him out of storage from the 70s. Also, the Russians look like this. Now,
like, what are you gonna do?
as cool as these designs are, I wish I could say more about them, because regrettably, they're cannon fodder.
Pretty much.
I get the point is to have stakes, but man, 2 veteran Jaeger crews just wiped out in like 5 minutes. I know these are supposed to be higher level kaiju, but they don't look that different from the ones that came before.
Right.
It's not like the Australian Jaeger Striker Eureka puts up a better fight. Striker is piloted by a father and son crew. The son is just an ass. And the father is a grizzled vet who also thinks his son is an ass.
Lovely.
Leading to this dynamic where Rowley's closest friend is the dad, but also the son hates him.
I'll see you around, Raleigh.
It's that arc of the rival eventually coming to respect the main character. Like,
I really did hate that. And yes, Top Gun did this so much better. Although I'm pretty sure Iceman could have powerbombed the living hell out of Maverick.
Top Gun.
You can be my wingman anytime.
But with robots and less volleyball.
Yes,
Striker's
less
design
volleyball.
is sleek and
I never why in every single movie made in the 80s that had the Navy in it in any way, shape, or form, 80s and 90s, they always played volleyball for some reason. I don't understand. Well, any movie involving the military for the most part. They were always playing volleyball.
jagged, but also somewhat aquatic. Funnily enough, Striker was supposed to be the main design for the protagonist mech, but it was shot down because Del Toro thought the design was a bit too edgy. Which I could see that. I always loved the idea of Jaegers representing a single country, and it felt like there was so much more room to expand this idea. Like, what would other countries' Jaegers look like? We need a Chilean Jaeger,
yes.
Maybe an Indonesian one. I will not rest until the Philippines has its giant anime mech. There used to even be a Pacific Rim website where you can make your own mech.
Orion Victor.
Oh.
가디언 턱스트랏.
Bahond. Do you want fries with that?
But in classic Hollywood fashion, we all know who's gonna carry this movie. The one who, against all odds, is gonna take down every kaiju. The Americans, baby! Gypsy Danger is such a great design. That blue color scheme, it has this little pinup, like a bomber. And best of all, its AI is just GLaDOS.
Altitude actuation. Off balance.
Here come the test results. You are a horrible person.
That's not even a coincidence. Del Toro just thought it would be funny. It's the most humanoid good guy bot there is, but it still stands out. It kind of reminds me of a Spartan.
Okay.
Pacific Rim is the only film I've ever seen where the CGI portions look more realistic than the actual people. Del Toro has a certain way of filming, a certain charm, and it's not a realistic charm. Just in the way that the camera moves and the lighting is, it's certainly a look. Remember when movies used to have sets? While the live-action portions kind of resemble a TV movie, the action set pieces, still to this day, look absolutely phenomenal. Everything is set at night, which is a common way to make CGI look more convincing.
True.
But hey, it works. So much care was given into making sure the kaiju and Jaegers felt like physical monsters in this environment. Like, Del Toro even designed the kaiju to look like they could be worn as costumes by actual people. Which is such a great attention to detail.
I love that thing and I don't care.
Well, I love that. Every movement has weight. There's a perfect balance here. The Jaegers, for instance, move human enough to show there are minds behind each action. These aren't simple robots. But also there's a mechanical nature that keeps them from feeling like these are regular people in suits.
Right.
It's a hard thing to do, especially as the movie is constantly changing its perspectives. Shots from the mech's point of view, shots from the air, shots from the ground. There was a lot of effort given in imagining how everything works in a physical space, while also not shying away from showcasing the action. Isn't that right, 2014 Godzilla? Godzilla coming out just 1 year after.
I remember being utterly pissed off. I went to go see Godzilla, and I'm focusing on some dude trying to, like, I'm focusing on this dude instead of Godzilla. Give me Godzilla, damn it!
After this, only made it look worse.
Let them fight.
That's it?
No. The Monsterverse got better over time, but man, am I still bitter.
Yes.
Pacific Rim ended up being a slightly flawed but incredibly entertaining action film that didn't need to be more complicated than it had to. When I first saw it as a teen, I loved it, and I still love it to this day. It just stayed as enjoyable as I remember. As the years have gone by and as Hollywood becomes consumed by franchises and sequels, I look back on Pacific Rim as this one unique gem. It's a good standalone movie, but also, like, come on. This is such a great idea.
Yeah.
It always seemed like it would have spawned a sequel. But, you know, oh well. Guess not everything needs one. Well, it was good.
I told you that thing sucked.
To reminisce.
Yes. Oh, no.
Now,
yeah.
if you don't mind, I'm gonna get this Jaeger out of the city before they give me a ticket for parking.
No.
Oh my god. Pacific Rim wasn't a standalone movie. They made a sequel.
What do we do?
We fight!
Oh, come on. Those look awesome. Look at that. That looks awesome. Okay, seriously. Pacific Rim. That's just a fun movie. Okay, that is an absolutely fun, straight in your face. It's like we have giant monsters, which everybody loves, and we have mechs, which everybody should love, and they're gonna fight, which is awesome. What is there not to enjoy about this? Like, the scene where Gypsy Danger crawls out of the ocean, being piloted by the one surviving brother, whose name I don't care about, is literally one of the best things I have seen, flat out, as far as, like, sheer awesomeness. Like, look at this thing. It's huge. It's busted up, and it's awesome. Yeah, there's really not much else for me to say about that. The sheer fact of the matter is, if you have not watched Pacific Rim, you really owe it to yourself to watch Pacific Rim, but don't get too focused on anything that happens outside of the mechs, because that's not really the point. The point is, Big Mech is cool, Big Mech is fun, Big Mech double axe handle monster, yay. Well, with all that out of the way, guys, God, I really want to watch Pacific Rim now. One does what one can. Guys, All of Pointless Hub's links are going to be in the description down below, right next to my own. Go by, check that out. I'm going to head out from here. Hit subscribe, you animals, or I will send the mechs after you. Yes.